Hey, y'all, just want to take this time to let you know that this podcast is brought to you through the use of Anchor. If you haven't heard about Anchor before, it is the easiest way to make a podcast. For one, it's free. There's creation tools that allow you to record and edit your podcast from your phone or from your computer. You can't ask for any better ease of access than that. Anchor will distribute your podcast for you so it can be heard on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, and many more. You can make money from your podcast with no minimum listenership. There's nothing extra added to this. It's everything you need to make a podcast all in one place. Again, this has been the easiest thing that I've used. I've used other podcast apps before, but once I switched over to Anchor, everything has been easy, free, and again, they will distribute your podcast to any place that you normally listen to your podcast to before. So again, download the Anchor app. It's for free. You can either download it directly from the Google Play Store, the Apple Store, or you can go to anchor.fm to get started and create your own podcast. Again, just want to send a thank you out to Anchor, and thank you for listening. What's going on, everyone? This is Dorian, back again with another episode of the Convos in the Park podcast. For our long-term listeners, I just want to say thank you. I know the content has not been consistent, as I constantly say almost every episode, but I do want to thank you for sticking with us and listening to the content. And for those that have shared their feedback, I just want to say thank you again. It is well appreciated. And if you have not shared your feedback, I would like to hear from you. For those that are joining us for the first time, I just want to say thank you for joining us. And you've actually joined at a perfect time. I started off this podcast series with the first episode talking a little bit about myself, pretty much a brief introduction. But I feel that it's due that I give what I would call a portion of my life story. I've been battling with several things within these last couple months, which kind of stems from the inconsistencies that I've had with my content. And again, I am a work in progress. I'm working towards getting more consistent. But as with anyone else, especially with 2020, life has been hard. Life has been difficult. Life has been a struggle. But I continue to persevere, not only for myself, not only for my daughters, who I love dearly and I want to see grow, but I do it for the people that have not, that feel like they don't have a voice, that feel like that they are not listened to, for those that maybe my stories, my examples, my viewpoints can help someone get through their day. That at the end of the day, that's one thing that I hope that comes through with these podcast episodes. And again, I kind of treat this podcast as a little bit of my therapy when it comes to especially what's been going on in the world lately. I started off wanting to be more of a relationship-based one or social commentary, but throughout 2020 has shown us that this world is way different than anything that we have thought of before, and we got to find a way to get through this together. So without further ado, let me just go ahead and get to the focal point of this episode. So I just want to start off by saying that my life story is not, I won't say that it's book worthy, but I have had some struggles and some difficulties that I think that if brought about and through my own self-therapy and releasing of frustrations and everything else, that hopefully this can help someone else in their situation. Maybe it's not the exact same thing, but you may be able to take some things out of this. So I will start off not so much at the beginning, but I will start off at one of the beginning chapters of my life. And that chapter is marriage and the after effects of it. So I met my wife way back in 2002. Back then we were just friends. Actually, not even 2002, 2001. We didn't get to the same duty station. We were both in the military together. We didn't get to the same duty station until back in 2002. During that time, we were cool. We talked. We were, again, just friends, and, just being in the same duty station, kind of having similar things and just getting to know each other. We kept a relationship, a friendship, all the way up until 2007. Well, let me backtrack a little bit. We did flirt with a relationship, real short. it was just one thing that happened, and it didn't see much of it until again back in 2007. During that time, I just got out the military, working as a civilian contractor. Was enjoying myself, but again, due to my living situation and the struggles of again making it paycheck to paycheck, it just got difficult, and I decided to get back into the military. And also, again, during that time, we kept in communication, and we decided to see where a relationship would really go. So she came to visit me where I was living in Kansas City, and everything went good. Everything started off quick. We really liked each other. We really enjoyed being around each other. We, looking back at it, we enjoyed the potential of what we could be as not just as a couple, but later again as husband and wife. So our dating didn't go very long. We met it. We started to be in a relationship in 2007. By 6 months into our relationship, we had gotten married. And the first couple of years of that marriage, it was good. We were still in that honeymoon phase. We were still pretty much still trying to learn each other. She had a child already, and I took her in with open arms, which is my oldest daughter. And with that, we had our difficulties, just like any marriage or couple would have in that time. But it wasn't anything major that kind of derailed us or deterred us from, being together and enjoying each other. It was differences here and there. She was the partying type. I wasn't so much the outgoing type as far as going to clubs or anything else like that. But during that time, we made it work. And not too long after we got married, we had our daughter, my second child, and everything was still going good. Around that time, not too long after we had my daughter, we ended up moving to New Orleans, and then everything was good there, and we ran into difficulties. And once I served my time in North Carolina, and then served my time in New Orleans. I'm sorry. Then we moved to North Carolina, which was my last duty station. Once I got there, chinks in our armor of marriage started to show, and the tears started happening. There was plenty of difficulties. I will just speak on my half. I wasn't as financially stable as I wanted to be. Everything started off good, and not just with dealing with financial struggles and making sure that everything was paid for as far as rent and all the bills, and trying to take care of the family, make sure everything was good in the home. Also during that time, I was going through, I won't even say a midlife crisis, but I was going through more so an identity crisis. I was a sergeant in the Marine Corps, and it was at that point where anyone that's been in the military, especially in the Marine Corps, when it gets to that time of becoming a sergeant, you pretty much have to do everything that you can to try to not only, have your annual records good, but also, to make yourself look good for when it comes time for promotion time. I was still struggling to get through that portion, as well as the way that I was working. The section I was working in and the Marines that I was taking care of, I put more focus on trying to build those Marines and being a support for those Marines, and taking care of them, as well as getting my job done to the best of my ability. But in that time, I took focus off of not only myself, but also my family. Not to the point where I was completely neglecting them, but I did let things fall to the wayside that I shouldn't have. Simple things like, say, things around the house, simple things that my wife may have asked me to do, whether it be, fixing a cabinet or mowing the lawn. I kind of did it on my own accord instead of, trying to work it out and just listen to my wife at the time, like, just go ahead and take care of it and be done. You won't have to hear anything else from me. I was like, oh, well, okay, I can hear it from you. I'm not going to worry about it. I'll just take care of it at my own time. Again, I was just going through different things emotionally, and, excuse me, and, we really did not communicate at pretty much almost at all during that time, which caused some problems. And, again, just getting through that time in my life was very difficult, and I pretty much kind of shut everyone out that I shouldn't have, and especially with my wife. That's supposed to be my partner, my A1. We're supposed to work through things together, and we just didn't link in that regard. And because of the lack of communication and the lack of me wanting to do things when she wanted to, and not, not doing the part of a husband where, you show your appreciation for your wife, and, you continue to want to date your wife and show her that, you're still interested, and show her that she's still wanted. A lot of that didn't happen. I kind of got complacent, which has been a demon of mine for a very long time. And through that complacency, and not communicating, of course, when it comes to that, and you're not getting the things that you want from your significant other, we go to different sources. Not saying that I was cheating, but any frustrations that I had, I did go to other people when I should have been dealing with all these issues with my wife. And, I can't speak for her, but I can pretty much, think that, she was doing the same. So, with that being said, and all the constant difficulties, all the different struggles, we did finally talk and communicate, and unfortunately it was not anything good. We communicated about a potential divorce. So during that time we were separated. I stayed in the barracks, she stayed at the house, and we were just trying to work things out as far as me being there for our daughters, and making sure that everything still is taken care of as far as our house is concerned. And during that time of separation, we both did our different things, and I just took that time to kind of reflect on what was important. I was still, I had the examples of marriage, and my grandparents on my mother's side, they were married for a very long time. Even with their struggles, they still managed to be together. And my parents, for as long as I was born, they were married and still married to this day. And that was something that I aspired to. That's something that I've always wanted. I just wanted to be with my wife and my family, and just continue to have that happily ever after. So after a bit of separation, we finally talked again about trying to mend the marriage and make things work. And right around that time that we started doing this was around the time that I was getting ready to get out the military. It came around time I got passed up on 2 different times for promotion. Around that last time was around my 13-year mark. So at that point in time, I did not get promoted. So I was separated from the Marine Corps, and we had to figure out what we were going to do with our next chapter of our lives after the military. So after talking some things out, we decided that we would move to Alabama. And when we moved to Alabama, it seemed like things were, it was a little bit more difficult because we moved to Alabama. We pretty much lived off of my separation pay from the military. And, of course, during that time, being a civilian, of course, the main thing I had to do was find another job. And I found some work. Didn't last long. I was working with a metal contractors, and I stayed with that job for about 2 months. After those 2 to 3 months were up, they let me go due to they weren't getting that many contracts in, so they had to let people go. So of course the last one hired is the first one fired. So after that, I went to seeking some more employment, And of course, with not having a job, that caused some issues. Thank goodness I was going to school at the time, so my Montgomery GI Bill was helping us get by with as far as bills were concerned. Up until I found my current job, and I've been in 2014 found that job, and everything was going good. As far as that, we were going out more. We were doing a little bit of talking, but the downside to everything was my job was more physically demanding than I ever imagined at that time. A little bit more than my job in the military. So, with my job being as demanding and my sleep pattern not being the best, I often found myself taking naps not too long as soon as I was falling asleep, not too long after I get home. So, of course, having time as far as like eating dinner and talking with my family during that time, I did that. But as far as anything to spend time with my wife, even after, we put the kids to bed and everything else, that just was lacking because, again, I was tired from working 10 to 12-hour days. So that took a toll. And, of course, again, when it comes back to, trying to be there for your spouse and, especially at the time when she was struggling to find work, and she's, the majority of the time is with the kids and, by herself. Other than that, you kind of want some interactions with someone, and especially, that interaction should definitely be coming from, in her eyes, her husband. So, of course, when that wasn't happening, that only brought more problems. And more issues came up, especially when the apartment that we were staying in, it was good at the time, but definitely wanted something else. So, then after that, trying to make situations and things better for my family, we moved out of the apartment and we moved into a townhouse. And once we moved into that townhouse, it seemed like things were just getting worse. And not too long after we moved into that townhouse, we talked about it and we separated for I won't say the final time, but the biggest period that we had, we separated. And during that time, of course, she was seeing other people. I was more so at the time just trying to work on myself. It's like I was thinking to myself, why can't I get this right? And I realized that, again, I had lost my family. And again, I had lost the townhouse, and I had ended up moving back in with my parents. There's something that person over the age of 30 does not want to do, but it was a good life lesson. And again, during that time of the separation, she saw the people, I started seeing other people, and even when I was seeing other people, I still had thoughts of my wife. Again, we were together for, at the time of that separation, almost 9 years. That's hard to, let somebody go. You've been with someone for that long. And, I was honest. I made my attempts to try to save the marriage, work things out. Even going so far as, going back to see her when they moved, when my wife and the daughters moved to North Carolina, and, try to make my bid to try to save everything from there. And then from there, once I visited there and there was some issues that came up I will not speak of, but long story short, I ended up taking the kids for a year. And even during that time where they lived with me for the year, which I'm still living with my parents at the time, not to say that it wasn't difficult. It was definitely a struggle. I do thank my parents for all the support that they gave me during that time, even from helping me get my stuff together for my daughters as far as school, whether it be school supplies or uniforms, to help, helping me get them to school on the days that I was working, and the days that I wasn't. I did my part to make sure that the girls got to their respective schools, and picked them up from school, and made sure that their homework and everything else was taken care of. Um, and even during that time, me and my wife, we were still talking and texting here and there. And I made a conscious effort in my mind. I was like, okay, I'm going to give this another effort. I'm going to put my all in. I'm going to, I realized some of the areas where I fell short, and those were the things that I was going to focus on to try to help save the marriage and make things work out from there. So after that period, the daughter, again, my daughters were with me for a year, and then after that year was up, they went back with their mother. And while they were with their mother, I was going to start to do what I needed to do as far as trying to get myself to move where they were in Maryland. And, I was making that conscious effort, but I did not know that she would meet someone else. And even during that time when she met someone else, I was like, okay, well, apparently she's happy with, what she has. And so it was just like, okay, well, it's time for me to move on. And I ended up, dating someone. And when I was dating them, it was going good. And things at the job were starting to get better. I was starting to do a lot more. And I want to say in 2018 is when, I got my big promotion. And, I was thinking at that point, okay, well, this could be the best move. And at the time, the person I was seeing at the time, they helped gave me the motivation and pushed me to, apply for the position. And once I finally got it, okay, well, here's the next big step. So we were actually starting to look at places, look at apartments, in Mississippi, and go from there. And then a major event happened back in Maryland, which caused me to make my way back up to Maryland just to check on my family. And even during that time when I was checking on my family and talking with my, then separated wife, it felt good to be around, the whole family again. It was something that I was missing, something that I was craving, and something that, after talking with her for a couple of days, was something that seemed like that we both wanted. So when I got back to reality back in Alabama, I didn't let the person that I was talking to, or I should say not talking to, but dating, did not, express, everything that was going on there in Maryland and all the conversations that I had. But once that came to light, that relationship that I had came to an end. So it was okay. Now that situation came to an end, I guess the only thing I can do is continue to focus on working things out with my family. And during that time, my wife had some issues, some stuff that was going on. So we decided to, let's see how Mississippi works as a family. And when it came down to that time, again, it seemed like everything was good, the first couple of weeks. And then, again, some issues started popping up again. And to make a long story short, without trying to dig too deep into my personal life, it just didn't work out. So by 2019, my wife and my oldest daughter moved back up to Maryland. It was just me and my youngest daughter here in Mississippi. And at the time, again, it was thinking, it was stuff that was going on here that we had discussed, and even with, going to family therapy and marriage counseling. It was just some things that I needed to try to work out. And again, I continued to try to make my way back up to Maryland, but it was some things that I just didn't think that some things that just didn't sit well with me, and kind of caused me to have second thoughts about it. And, I expressed those thoughts with my wife at the time, and not saying that she completely understood, but, she got it from exactly what, from everything that I was telling her. And even through that, she had her, I guess you could say her, not misconceptions, but She had her doubts about certain things, and again, when we've gone through stuff for so long, it's kind of hard to try to build that back up, especially not with not without being around each other, and distance can definitely play a part. So at the end of the day, I just want to say, let me get to the end of the story. So even after trying to talk long distance and try to talk things out and everything else, at it just didn't pan out for us. I ended up fully going through with the divorce, and I'm not to say that we are not that we don't get along. We get along very well. But to say that I don't think of her from time to time would be wrong. And even after the divorce, I tried to move on with another relationship, and it seemed like everything in that relationship was going good up until it got to a point where we had a discussion that I thought that should have been had, and I thought that we did have. But again, just from my point of view, it seemed like at the time when it came to the thought of future marriage, I thought we were at the time of one accord, that we were both looking to eventually get married. And some can say that even if you talk about marriage so early in a relationship, that's not a guarantee that things could exactly go that way with that individual. But again, if the vibe is going good and everything seems like it's going well, then why not have that discussion? Because if everything is going good, even if you have some falls here and there as far as a relationship goes, but if everything overall is good, then yeah, why not take it to the next step of marriage? Well, come to find out that we didn't see eye to eye on that one. So as with anything, if you can't see eye to eye, then you have to make the proper adjustments. And even if someone is hanging on the idea of marriage, or they don't see themselves being married, yes, things can change. But usually, at least from my point of view, it's kind of a telltale sign that maybe things weren't as good as you thought they would be. And again, even though that individual may have thought about marriage later on, but if their firm stance on it at the beginning is no, then that's kind of a battle that you don't want to fight, especially when you've been through so much and you're making a battle to try to make yourself better. And you want to see yourself evolve, but still seeing that evolution is still involving marriage, and someone has a firm stand on it. And yeah, if you can't see eye to eye in that regard, then there's no sense in trying to make anything go further from that point. Now, to say again that I still don't think about my wife, I do. But at the end of the day, it's a hard chain to let go of. And the only way that I feel that I can get through this properly is through therapy, which I am a person that fully recommends that, especially in the Black community. That's something that we don't look, that we look down upon. As far as therapy, we either, soak it up with drinking, or we subsided with partying, or trying to constantly get in these relationships, which is something that I battle with as well. I always feel like I want to be wanted in a relationship by someone, but at the end of the day, I can only want as much as I can want for myself. I have to, at the end of the day, take care of myself, make sure that I'm happy. And if I'm not fully happy, how can I look for a relationship if I'm not dealing with the happiness and dealing with all the issues that I have to deal with, whether it be, the feelings of always being wanted, the constant thoughts about my wife, and the potential that, maybe one day we could probably work it out. But, again, I have to come to the realization that maybe that road is long gone, and that road has long passed. and I have to cope with it. So again, for Black community in particular, if we are having issues and you have the proper means, whether you know someone that is a therapist and is willing to work with you, or you have good insurance, or you're with a company that offers some kind of counseling or therapy sessions, as you know, as part of their insurance plan, I highly recommend that you take advantage of that. Again, just having a third eye, I won't say a third party that is professional, or that is trained professionally, to deal with certain issues. Vice, a friend that may have went through the same experiences as you, but may have dealt with it in a different way. I think that, again, just being able to talk to a therapist or talk to a counselor or someone like that can help deal with a lot of issues. And it's something that we frown upon in the Black community, but yet again, we will sing the praises of church and how church helps us. I mean, yes, it helps us spiritually, and the path of God can help us, spiritually and emotionally. But again, we have these areas and resources that we need to tap into as well in order to make us whole people. So with that being said, I just want to thank everyone for listening. I know it may seem like I was rambling a bit, but I just had to get these ideas and thoughts off my mind. Again, so as a form of self-therapy, and hopefully that anyone that is listening to this episode can either tap into something, or they get the inspiration to seek out help for themselves, or be able to deal with these, or shoot, even if it is just having conversations with your significant other, whether it be about marriage or anything else. The main thing that we got to have is communication, not just with our friends, family, but especially with our significant others and loved ones. Because if they don't know how we're feeling, what we're going through, then there's no way for them to know which way they can help, which way they can guide us, which way they can console us, when we're going through those times. Then we're fighting an uphill battle that we are going to lose. So I just want to take this time to say, if you have any feedback on the conversation or the story that I just gave, please feel free to share that in the comments, whether it be on YouTube, whether it be on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. I just want to have an open conversation about that, and whether it be with me or you have a conversation with others, then I hope that I was able to spark that and get some but hopefully get some clarity on that. So again, this is Dorian with Convos in the Park. Thank you. And as always, are you in that convo yet? Why not?